Air pollution from wildfires remained well above the healthy levels across much of Ontario and several communities in British Columbia and Alberta today, as our neighbors down south deal with the effects too. Dramatic hazy skies, air quality warnings, and renewed concern about our environment and health all taking center stage. All the while, some on social media are fueling conspiracy theories about how the fires started to divert attention from the all too important topic of climate change. Of the 414 fires burning in Canada right now, 239 have been deemed out of control, and more than 20,000 people across our nation have had to flee their homes. The smoky blanket billowing across the U.S., creating the worst air pollution in New York State in decades.
I don't think there's a single person who hasn't felt something different. You know, more frequent coughing and just a tightness in the throat and watering of the eyes. And those are for people who are healthy. For those who have health conditions underlying already, it's a real challenge for them.
New York began giving away free masks today to protect city residents from the smoke that has drifted south from the Canadian fires.
Make sure my lungs stay healthy, because if you breathe in the particles from the smoke, they'll collect in your lungs and you could get disease from it.
It's important to get the N95s because they're the best ones to protect. I have the other ones, but you know, I want to do the best I can to make sure that I stay safe and don't get anything from these crazy wildfires.
You know, this particulate's very damaging to the lungs and to the heart, so just want to make sure that we're being as safe as we can to protect our health.
Multiple health studies have linked wildfire smoke to serious health consequences, including heart attacks, strokes, and breathing problems. And the poor air quality has prompted cancellations or changes to outdoor activities as a result. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke on the phone with U.S. President Joe Biden about the issue yesterday. Both leaders agreed the situation pointed to the urgency of addressing climate change. In the House of Commons yesterday, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre accused Trudeau of using the fires as a distraction to not answer inflationary questions.
Has he really sunk into the low of exploiting these fires for political gain to distract from his inflationary and high interest rate policies?
Mr. Speaker, I've answered that question a dozen times. And for the Leader of the Opposition to consider that the forest fires that are taking people from their communities and destroying their homes are a mere distraction and not top of mind for people from coast to coast to coast is shameful. But the fact of the matter is he doesn't have anything to say about that because he refuses to put forward any real plan to fight against climate change, and he does nothing but fight against our plan to fight climate change. If he has a better plan, let him say it, because we've been waiting a long time for it. But he has no plan to fight climate change. He still questions whether it exists while Canada is burning.
Meanwhile, on social media, climate change deniers are peddling conspiracies that the fires are being deliberately set.
That's how they started the fire.
It's to clean out dead trees.
Look at that.
Fake news.
They set it up. It's a setup.
But they're wrong. This is called planned ignitions. It's one of several effective wildfire management tactics that allow fire services to control the spread of the wildfires. Joining us now to tackle all the misinformation spreading online about the wildfires is environmentalist Ian Borsick from Environment Hamilton. Ian, can you explain what elements of climate change are fueling these cross-country wildfires?
Yeah, so we're looking at potentially the worst wildfire season that the country of Canada has ever seen, and it's because of climate change. We are seeing increasingly warm weather, changing weather patterns that are creating conditions that are conducive to burning large amounts of forest very rapidly. It's not unique to Canada. This is happening in many other locations in the world, in our hemisphere, in Europe, in the Pacific Northwest, that we certainly have been seeing a lot of. And really, I think, it was only a matter of time before the sections of Canada that are burning right now started to burn. We knew that this was going to be happening. It's been part of prediction models that we've seen from climate scientists for, going back decades. But the reality is it's the conditions that are leading to these fires to be much more intense, much more prevalent, and much more frequent. And so when you have forests that are drier, you have rain seasons that have been shorter and shorter each year, or no rain seasons over a few seasons, you're creating conditions in which it's going to be much easier to start fires. So anything that would have maybe just started a small fire is now creating much larger fires, and we're seeing it happen all over.
Arson has been the #2 trending topic on Twitter across Canada all day. People claiming that's the reason for these forest fires we're seeing, and that it's part of the Liberal government's so-called agenda. Why are comments like these dangerous?
Well, they're dangerous because I think they're misinformed, and it's creating a situation in which the people who are truly responsible for this, major catastrophe that's playing out here in North America, off the hook. So when we're looking at greenhouse gas emissions that have been pumped into our atmosphere for the last 100 years, that have been warming the planet, creating these conditions, we're talking about oil companies. We're talking about politicians that have allowed these expansion of fossil fuel infrastructure to continue unabated. We're looking at, more locally to here in Ontario, we're looking at, the provincial government deciding to cancel renewable power contracts and build out gas plants that increase greenhouse gas emissions and increase the amount of carbon in our atmosphere. And when we talk about arson, or we talk about the cause of some of these individual fires, again, when we're talking about hundreds of fires, it can be really easy to point to one instance of perhaps arson, or one instance of someone being, particularly careless when they are out doing some outdoor recreation. But what we're not explaining is, how did these fires get so big, so prevalent, so fast? And arson doesn't explain it.
What could happen if climate change denial isn't tackled head-on by governments around the world?
Well, I think what we're really seeing here is climate delay really playing out. We're seeing the consequences of climate delay. Again, virtually all across Canada, most politicians will tell you that climate change is real. The problem that we have here is we're now seeing the consequences of it, and people are reacting to it in a very personal, emotional way, because they don't want to accept that there is something major happening across the globe that is an existential crisis for us. It's scary. It's absolutely terrifying to think about what is happening to our planet right now. And it can be a lot easier and a lot more satisfying emotionally to identify one or two specific actors or one group of actors. And it's really easy if they're in the government. The same people that are being villainized right now for apparently causing these fires, in reality are responsible, but they're not responsible in the way that these people are saying they are.
Thanks so much for joining us, Ian.
Well, thank you.